Welcome to our discussion for today. As we know, we are having our Mental Awareness Month, and we wanted to just have a chat with our coaches and some of our athletes to understand how they are able to manage expectations in life. As we are aware, athletes have a lot in hand. They have to be in touch with sports, and of course, they have their own personal lives. So you want to understand how a coach is able to assist or direct an athlete to manage or just understand whatever issues or whatever expectations, or we can call it a disappointment, that probably can come up. So, welcome. My name is Joyce, and would love to know who we are.
Thank you. My name is Mike Shamia. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, KCB Rugby.
Okay.
And my name is Jacob Oje. I'm a KCB rugby player, as well as the Kenya Sevens team.
Okay. So before we embark on anything else, we would want to maybe just hear a briefing about where you are at.
Where am I in terms of...
In terms of your sporting, or are you in sports now, or currently you're doing something else?
Yeah, currently I'm actively in sports.
Okay.
I play for both my club, which is KCB Rugby, and the national sevens team, the Shuja. We are currently preparing for the Olympics in Tokyo, which are due in July. So we've been touring around the world, playing flagship tournaments in readiness for the same. We actually just came back from South Africa. We were down in South Africa at Stellenbosch Academy of Sports with the national team for 2 weeks, where we played a few games to prepare us for the upcoming Olympics games. And as you can see, I got an injury from the same tournament. So I'm in recovery mode right now. And but now it's just recovery towards as we build towards the next tournament and the Olympics in July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about the injury, but we hope to see you in the pitch very soon. Yeah. So as we talk about probably how you have been able to get engaged in most of the tournaments, has there been any time where you have been disappointed, or probably your expectations were never met?
As a person or as a team? As a person.
Yeah, let's look at it from a personal level.
Definitely. As an athlete, you always try to work towards being the best in your craft, or towards excelling in your sport or in your particular position. It's a team sport, so definitely you have to play as a team and try to achieve goals as a team. But as an individual also, you're trying to be your best so that you can help uplift the team even to greater heights. So yes, as a person, you usually have goals set. You have team goals, then you have personal goals that you have set for yourself, so that you can perform at the highest level. So at times we come up short. We are human, and as much as you might plan yourself to do your best, at times you come up short. And it's never for us. If you played for a longer time, and if you've played at the highest level, it depends on how you pick yourself up from such kind of instances, and in maybe bad performances in a game, or bad build up towards a tournament. It comes from different angles. If your preparation was good enough, or if you felt you're good enough in the preparation, and then you come up short in a game. So these are kind of setbacks in a person, in a team setup, and you come up short a lot of times, most of the times. The one time you come out good, that's when you win. That's when you feel you've won. But it might be a process. Like in sevens, in a weekend you have 6 games.
Yes.
So maybe you might have half of the games, 3 games, you're at the top of your game,
Okay.
and 3 you're not at the top of your game. So, and they're spread. You might have one bad game, and the way you show up for the next game shows how you handled the disappointment from the first game.
Uh-huh.
So at the end of the tournament, when you assess yourself as a player in the tournament, do you assess yourself as coming out victorious or having met your goals? Or if you met them, at what percentage did you meet them? Did you what percentage did you achieve?
Okay.
In that?
I love the word achieve.
Yeah.
And in all this, I know there is an important person who plays his role in seeing how you as a player, you're playing well, and seeing just how you can also be able to encourage you. And so we can hear also from the coach.
As Oje says, it's a process. Everything is a process from day one to from the first day of the season, when the season starts with the preseason, until when you go in to play your first game. Our expectations are there, yes, and sometimes we aim for the best of all, which is winning. And as we coach, as we prepare these athletes to win, we also not only winning, but also to expect the worst that can happen in between. The worst that can happen is to lose, and losing is also part of sport. So as we prepare athletes, as we oversee what will suit them best to win, we also prepare them for any eventuality in case things go south. And things go south. It might rain, it might shine, and you never know. But our main aim is to give our athletes the best and to win games and to excel in their sport. Winning sometimes is not excelling, is not the ultimate, but self-satisfaction and self belief in a player and in the team, and the team goals and the team ethos are what we emphasize and look at, not only winning.
During this loss or probably win, the way you're calling it, at some point, are we affected mentally?
Yeah.
Or have you ever been affected mentally, probably in a loss that's probably had?
Both answers to both questions is yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You're definitely affected mentally when you lose. Because you see, when you prepare for such a long time or for a given tournament, you're preparing to go and win. It might not be like the only goal, but it's the ultimate goal for any athlete in a professional setup. And when the goals that you want to achieve is actually to come out victorious. Winning might be broken down to different things, but it's the end point. It's winning. You might aim to win a number of games. You might aim to win. For you to win, your aim is to reach a certain point in the tournament, maybe quarterfinals or the semifinals, or finish top 3 and all that. Or you might aim to win the whole tournament or the whole game, like you in the last game of the day, the finals. So in different stages, those are like your process goals. You have your process goals that will enable you achieve your ultimate outcome goal. So it just depends on what you set out to win in your process, and if you achieve that or not. So we come up short sometimes, and this definitely hits you mentally, because then you have to again reassess how you went about your preparation, from maybe the coach downwards, upwards to the players and to the team. For you as an individual and to the team. The team mental capability might be different to your own. Maybe there are guys with strong mental strength in the team who have maybe played the game longer, or who are just ready for any eventuality, and maybe there might be the weaker ones in the team. So you as an individual, first of all, you need to have a strong mental state to snap out or to readjust from such kind of losses or you not meeting your goals. So that's what I'd say happens most of the time. So when you snap out of it, maybe it might be easier for some people and harder for others, but you definitely have mental issues from a win or from a loss
point of view.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, now the coach has really got to get your back in terms of how you're handling your mental well-being at that particular moment, and just guiding you in, let me say, we can call it a loss. And in this journey, do we prepare our athletes when it comes to looking at plan B or a plan C? If I'm not able to play, if I'm not able to make it to, we call it the seventh, eh? Yeah. Are we prepared? Are we prepared maybe to strategize on another plan?
To be honest, number one, it is very good for a coach to be honest with the players and to be able to see things through their eyes and in their eyes. Number one, it is very important to have a plan B. And number two, what is that plan B? And number three, are we able to balance all these things? Yes, we can say about plan B, plan C, plan whatever. But again, if we don't look at it in a very objective manner, then it is not here or not there. Having said that, is if this athlete is preparing, for example, for an Olympic, what is the process? How much time does the athlete need? How much are we putting in as coaches? How much are we willing to balance all these things? Then the athlete can have a plan B. OJ spoke about winning and either dropping, falling off, or falling apart, or being together after a loss. Part of preparation, there's a lot of mental work that is done when we prepare for these tournaments, for this, and that will determine how your players take in a loss or take in a win. Again, in this sport, respect is one big thing that can be broken down into very many things, and if it is not handled well, again, we'll start to deal with mental issues that are really devastating to an athlete and also to a team. So number one, respect your opponent, respect your teammates, and respect the environment. Then now you start to see things in a different light. Having said that, you always have to have a plan. You must have a plan. You must have a plan in training, after training, and during your playing days and after your playing days. If that is not balanced out, then we have failed as coaches, as teammates. We've all failed in that area, and we're not here to fail. We're here to do our best. The more we win, the better people we become, and the better players we build, and the better citizens we're trying to come out after our playing days.
I want to understand more clearly that even as we set our goals, there are expectations that are there, but in due course, if at all it doesn't go the way we want them to go, we are allowed, we can give room for even replanning and even starting afresh. Because at times we also set unrealistic goals. You know, I'm new in the team and probably I do want the coach to
That's
make
a Kenyan thing.
That's a Kenyan thing. And of course, how do we handle our athletes who clearly they have set unrealistic goals, and we probably know the end results would be, there'll be an effect on it.
What I can say about goals is, there's always a team goals.
Yeah.
There are individual goals, and there's goals for either tournament, the league, or wherever you are. There are goals. There are goals set in training. There are goals set in during game days, and there are goals set, general goals that govern our athletes. For example, if we are going into a tournament and we want to get to the semi-finals, that is goal number one, to get to the semi-finals. Goal number two, we need to prepare. You need to have, for example, gone through 80% of the training sessions, or 90%, or 100%. Those are goals that are set. These goals have to be realistic. If they're not realistic, we put unnecessary pressure on the athletes. This pressure, again, turns out, if we don't get to these goals, they turn out to be negative goals. And we can't set negative goals for ourselves. But unfortunately, sometimes we find ourselves as coaches that we've set the bar too high, and we now put a lot of pressure on the players. We always have to be realistic when setting out goals. Some of these goals should be set out in plenary, and coaches and players need to agree about some of these goals. Yes, some of these goals are management based. The management, as we manage the athletes, we set those goals basing on the management point of view, and again, we need also to step down to set goals within the playing unit. Having said that, our goals are not there to be broken. They are not there to put you down, but to guide you, to guide the athlete, to guide the coach, to guide the team to perform at its best. But again, we need to be realistic, and we need to manage those goals. When we don't reach those goals, when we don't hit those goals, when we find ourselves with an injury, how do we manage it? Do we sit down and rethink about our goals? What do we do at that point? That's why I'm saying goals have to be very realistic, and these goals, we should not be so rigid with these goals, because injuries happen. It rains sometimes, and you expected not to rain. People fall sick on tournament days, and you can't change that. If one of your best players is sick, you can't change that, and you have to go into the tournament, and you will not change the goal at that time, but you have to go into that tournament with an open mind and not put so much pressure on the players, because as you put so much pressure on the players, you're bound to break the unit when things don't go as planned.
So OJ, during your pathing career, you've ever met an expectation or a goal that never went your way, and were you affected mentally? And which mental disorder was it?
Okay. There are so many questions, but I'll try and answer each and every one of them. Yes to all of them, first of all.
Yeah.
I've been around for a long time. I've played rugby for a very long time, since I was 13 or 14. Professionally, club level, I started at 14 years. No, not 14, 15 years. 15, 16 years when I was in high school, and I used to play for Kisumu RFC. And from there, my rugby journey has been long, because that's like 2007 to 2008 to now, from teenager and until now. And I've always set goals for myself, because I needed to attain them in my rugby playing career. So there's always been setbacks along the way. Like I wanted to, when I finished high school, immediately I wanted to play for the under 20. But I couldn't play for the under 20 immediately, because I was not in Nairobi. Those were the challenges back then.
Yes.
Right now, it's rugby is more devolved. So even if you're from up country, any part of the country right now, and you're playing good rugby and you've been spotted, they'll always they'll always accommodate you to come to Nairobi and play, because this is the hub of rugby in Kenya as per now. So I was disappointed, because most of my peers made it to the under 19, not 20. Made it to the under 19 that side. People who I viewed as my peers, I would play with them.
Yeah.
They were like in the same level, but I couldn't play with them in that level. So I was disappointed. So
was there distress? Was there depression? Or
at that particular time,
yeah.
I haven't played that much rugby.
Yes.
So for me, I'm just disappointed at that particular time. But what next? I've always been a very goal-driven person. I rarely give up when I want to achieve something. So what next? That passed, and then I got my call-up for under 20 the next year, which was fine. But I still couldn't make it, because I was still in Kisumu, and the games are being played here. Back then, I didn't have that much support from my dad for playing rugby, so that also hindered maybe my growth at that particular time, or my me chasing my goals, because I was still under the roof of my dad, like I was still at home. So we would try and discuss about it, but okay.
You can raise your mic so that we can hear you better.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
We discuss about it, but then I missed those opportunities. This devastated me for a while.
Okay.
But then,
so there was a bit of frustration.
Exactly, frustration as a kid.
Yeah.
I want to play and my elder brother played rugby.
Yes.
So like for me, it was like I'm not getting to whichever level he got to. Like then I would feel so, because I would get these messages or phone calls from my friend, like how comes you didn't make it to that team? I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
I didn't make it to the team because maybe I wasn't selected, or I didn't make it to the team because I couldn't avail myself to the training sessions that particular time. But then that was just, for me, it was a motivator at that time. So I pushed myself and played. The next thing was Kisumu RFC. That was my parent club. That's where I started my rugby from. So we had goals and set up. Personally, we achieved most of them as a team. And then I got to Nairobi. That's when now the challenges became, because now you're in the big city now. You've already maybe started making a name for yourself as a rising star and stuff. So you're playing for KCB now. That's a big club. So you will be spotted. But then you don't get these call-ups. Or people think you're supposed to make the call up. Everyone is like, you're good, you're supposed to make the call up and stuff, but you still don't make the call up. So that frustration comes in, that disappointment comes in, and it happens to a lot of the young kids right now. So they might think it's a new thing for them, but I'm very sure most of the senior guys or the guys who've made it in rugby have gone through the same thing, just maybe in a different light. So for me, I think the first time I got my call up for the Kenya Sevens, I got my the first time I made my scene, like I was about to get my call up, I didn't get it, and it was so disappointing, very disappointing. I was in this club, that's like in 2012. It was very disappointing. Everyone was like, it's your turn and all, you get all this stuff, support from everyone, but I wasn't selected. So it was I think for me as a person, I think I was in my low point, because I was in a big club. The club was performing. You see, it's different when you're in a club that's not performing. True. This club is performing. Some of your teammates are selected for the team, but you are not. Yet everyone around you is telling you you're good enough to be selected. So are you going to take this positively or negatively? As I told you before, personally, I don't give up. So next year I came back again. Played, won all these individual accolades, got the call up this time round, but then didn't make it to the shortlist for the team.
So that's another disappointment. And frustrations build up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this time around, I actually made it. So everyone who was gunning for me to make it was happy that I made it. But now the talk is, I made it there to the team selection, but I didn't make it to the team itself. So I wasn't good enough yet. See, so that's another mountain I'm supposed to climb mentally. It happens. I know a lot of young kids right now who are going through the same thing. The only thing I usually tell them is patience, because I think that's the main thing that pushed me through, and had people around me. Like, I've had Shamia all through that time. Shamia was my coach back then. So he saw these frustrations. You come for training, you don't even feel like training, because why have I put in a whole year? I get selected, but I'm not even given the small chance to play, even for, mostly it was Safari Sevens. That's where they usually made the cut. So Safari Sevens, in that year that I didn't play a part in, there were 3 teams. So if you're good enough and you can't make 3 teams, that's 12 by 3, 36. Then that tends to hit you a bit. So even your mental strength is tested, tried and tested. How your resolve is even tested. Are you going to come back stronger, or are you going to give up? That's what makes a good rugby player or a good sportsman, because you're going to be tested even in the peak of your performance. Because that year, I remember, I had all the individual accolades. You're, I don't know, the most promising player. You're the MVP, you're the top try scorer, but all these things don't count if you're not going to the boiler room, which we call the call up. That's where the pressure is. Not when you're playing with your teammates and you're not under so much pressure. That's the boiler room. If you're not going to make it out of that place, then you're not good enough. You still have to go back and put in some more work.
True.
Yeah. So that I'd say up to that point, before I made it to the team, those are the kind of mental strength and disappointments that I was dealing with.
That you had to deal with.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned something that is key when we're looking at just trying to cope with mental issues. Support is a major thing, because the moment you said you were still with your parents and there was support from them, and I also noted that you also looked upon your coach, who was there to give you encouragement, and of course he was very patient with you. So I don't know how coaches manage it. I don't know what type of skills that you apply to be able to give our players more hope.
First and foremost,
Yeah.
as you say, hope is everything. If you give these players hope and take them through, then that is the first thing. Secondly, as a coach, you have to be very honest with these players. These athletes, they are younger. and they're exploring things, and they have their goals, as OJ says. And those goals don't just come, you don't wake up into them. It is built in you. As we train, as we work hard, as we do whatever we do, as I tell him, you're the next winger, you're next best player. I also have to be very honest with my athlete, with my player. When a setback comes, like OJ has said, he's been dropped, he's been picked, and then something happens along the way, we have to be honest with the situation at hand. And again, I have to give him his work-ons. Because you don't just, unfortunately, that's what we do. We drop players and we let them go and rot wherever they'll go. We also need, there's a big need of managing that process of dropping players and picking players. As you drop a player, you need to be honest with them and tell them your 1, 2, 3 things made you not get the cut, or this made you get the cut, or this. We need to be honest, and we need to have that discussion. Support from the coaching perspective is very important. I have to support, as much as I'm honest with the player, as much as I'm honest with the athlete, I have to also be part of the process of him coming back or of him taking another pathway. Talking about pathways again, you might make it to the national team and not make it to the end team, and that experience in itself is a big experience. When you come back to the club, it takes you to another level at the club, which, as OJ says, he went the first time, he didn't make it. The second time he made the short list, he didn't. The third time, until now, he's a better player. He's one of our best players. If there was no support from the club. There was a lot of support from the club and from his peers at the time. If that was not there, we could have easily lost OJ as a player. He's had multiple injuries. He's always unlucky. Let me say, he's always unlucky. But again, the patience and resilience that comes from himself and within the club and within his peers are very important aspects of him coming back. And he's been able to pull through many times. And many players have been able to pull through. But again, there are those players that are not able to pull through, and we lose them on the side. We find them. We don't find a way of bringing them back. Support from the family is huge, because you are with your family most of the time. So again, as a coach, I need to know, where does OJ come from? As a coach, I need to know, after training, how does OJ relate to the family in regards to the sport? Personally, when I was playing, rugby was a no-go zone. I was supposed to play soccer. Soccer was the thing, but I didn't go. So I went through a lot of things, and I will not want to see the players of today, the rugby players that we have, the good players because I was a good player. I was not average. I was a good player, but due to the background that I was coming from, did not allow me to play rugby openly, which was an issue for me. It was a big issue for me. So that should not happen to these guys. These guys, we need to take care of them. We need to take care of their mental health, and part of their mental health is strengthening them mentally, not only in the field, not only in the skills, and we also need to strengthen them mentally, because when you have a mental stability in a player, other things just flow through. Yeah. Other things flow through easily. They relate better.
True, they do.
To themselves,
yeah.
To the coaches,
yeah.
And very important, to the family life out there.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at this as even intrapersonal. How will you relate with yourself? How will you do your self-evaluation? And of course, even just doing self-care. So I know this conversation and this discussion has really helped some of our players who are actually struggling with disappointment. Maybe we can take just 1 minute to talk to our player who is probably in the pit of losing it. And we don't want to see him or her remain on the pit. So maybe you can just take a few seconds as we close to just tell them something. Yeah.
I think I'd relate with the players because I've been in such kind of situations before. If it's a player who's just up and coming, I usually use I usually use 3 words, which is patience. You might know you're good enough, you've been selected, everyone is banking on you or cheering for you, but your patience to make it is very key. Then there's just resilience, because there's going to be a lot of hurdles in the way, a lot of them, and there might be hurdles to help you become a better player. So if you're patient and you're resilient enough, then you just need to to be hardworking. Like whatever you're doing, whatever hard work you're doing, there's someone else doing double that. So if you can understand that, then you're going to have a strong mental strength to try and better every single thing that you do every single time. So whoever you are, or whatever level you're playing, and whatever your ambitions and goals are, you just be patient with them. Be very resilient, because you're going to get all these hurdles in the way, and just work hard every single time. Every single time.
Thank you so much, OJ. Maybe just a word. Just a word. Oh, you're good.
I look where?
This camera.
This one.
Yeah.
If you're a player, if you're a coach, if you're going down, that route is not for you. That route is not for you. Number one, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Share. Talk to us. Talk to your peers. Don't go down alone. Part of coaching is uplifting, and part of coaching is taking you from the floor and putting you up to walk. So do not keep quiet. As a player, as an athlete, as a coach, as an individual, do not keep quiet. Come forward. Let's have a discussion. Let's share. These problems are there. Some people have been through it. OJ has a boot today. Tomorrow he'll be lifting the gold for Kenya. And simply because we are sharing. We are here to share. We are sharing. We are talking about it. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Yeah. Come out. Let's talk about it. That's the only thing that will get you up.
Thank you so much, Coach. And OJ, I really wish you a quick recovery.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll hope to see you holding the cup, as the coach has said. So thank you, viewers. Thank you so much for your time. And we hope that this is able to get somebody or someone out of the pit where they are at. Remember, also counseling supports each and every mental state that someone might be going through. And we do want to encourage you to seek guidance, seek help. Do not stay in the pit when disappointments come. So we wish you a lovely mental health month, and kindly take care of your mental state.